Hello, Ayurveda Everyday with Talia. This is Talia, and welcome to my weekly Facebook Live. I try to do these every single Thursday at noon, and I apologize. I'm a couple minutes late today because I changed my Facebook password today and forgot about it, so I had to log back in. But anyway, I'm going to make this quick and educational today because I'm getting ready for one of my live training calls with Ayurveda Starter School. And yeah, just got back from a big trip. I'm sunburned. But there was a question today. It was actually in my a private Facebook group of mine called for the course Ayurveda Starter School, which is my beginners Ayurveda course, people who just want to understand the science and apply it to their life every day. There was a question about how to use Nasya oil, and I've spoken about Nasya oil in now it's more than a couple, but several videos back when I did a video about, are you using a neti pot safely? So if you didn't catch that video, it's really, really, really good. And if you're not familiar with what a neti pot is, definitely Google it. Neti pot is Neti. But watch that video because I did a really thorough job of explaining how to use a neti pot, which is basically a nasal rinse. So if you tend to get ear infections, mucus in the back of your throat, nasal infections, chronic runny nose, dry nose. It's such a valuable tool to know how to do because it can really help to open up the whole upper respiratory tract. We always think about the respiratory system as being just the lungs, but all of these cavities that are inside of the skeletal structure of your face that make up the nasal cavities and that directly connect to your ears and your throat, they really make up the upper respiratory tract. And so if you've got buildup or inflammation, infection, mucus, anything that's kind of hanging out in these areas, they drain down into the lungs. So we really want to keep this area clear. And this is, so much of Ayurveda is preventative medicine. And this is one of the ways that Ayurveda is like, take care of your nasal passages and you'll be much healthier. People who do regular neti potting tend to have, is that a word? Neti potting, I just made it up. But I think people tend to have less allergies, less mucus, less colds, less flu because they're keeping things clear and open. So one thing you can do to enhance the use of your neti pot, and I do this almost every day because I tend to be pretty dry. Like my nose gets drier more than lots of mucus, but I'll definitely get both, is I will add a Nasya oil. This is the one that I personally make, Nasya oil for sinus relief. It's usually or almost always an herb infused oil. A lot of times it has a base of sesame oil, but not exclusively. And when you fill up your neti pot with some warm water and half a teaspoon of salt, you can also add a dropper full or two of Nasya oil, which then when you do the neti pot, which is the water rinse, right, going in one nostril and out the other, it's actually that oil is lubricating. Hey, Amy. It's actually lubricating those passages as it moves through. So if you tend to be dry or you're in a really dry climate or you're in a really cold climate where the heaters are on all winter long, I so recommend putting Nasya oil into your neti pot rinse, adding it to the water. Thanks for the heart. Because it just leaves this really supportive, protective kind of lubricant shield in your nose that is feels really good. Now, that's one way to use the Nasya oil, but someone in Ayurveda Starter School, she made a post that her Nasya oil is getting everywhere except for into her nostrils. It's ending up on her lips, her cheeks, like everywhere, but actually into her sinus passages. Because another way that we'll use Nasya oil, I'll kind of show you here, is, right, you'll have some oil in here. I don't have any in it on purpose, but you'll plug one nostril as you're dropping the drops in with the dropper. I'll type it into the chat of how you spell it, but it's Nasya, Nasya oil. And there's a link to the one that I make, on my website. The one I make is really antibacterial, antimicrobial. It's a recipe that comes from the Bihar School of Yoga in northern India. It's where my teacher was the head of the infirmary for 2 years. And it's a recipe that they share. So I make that recipe for my clients and students. It's a little bit warming because it's got a base of sesame oil and garlic and ginger. But there are other types of Nasya oils that are not quite so specifically antibacterial. That one is great for if you're like trying to not get sick, or you've got something going on and you're trying to clear it. I always use that particular blend. I'll put all of this in the description of this video, just FYI, so you won't have to search for it. But when you're dropping the Nasya oil in, you want to plug the opposite nostril and actually like totally tilt your head back. So it's best to even do it laying down, where you can tilt your chin towards the ceiling, and then when you sniff it in and you literally swallow it so that you feel the oil coming up this way and then down the back of your throat. So again, when you're using a Nasya oil that's more potent in characteristics, like the one that I make being ginger, garlic, sesame oil, you can taste it a little bit because it does go back down the back of your throat. But it usually, the sensation only lasts for probably, 30 seconds to a minute, and then it clears. But this is kind of my point, is when you're using Nasya oil, whether it's through your nasal passages in your Neti pot, or you're sniffing it like like you would sniff cocaine, I guess. I don't know if you swallow cocaine also, but you sniff it, you swallow it, and then that is draining into your lungs as well, like into your digestive system, your respiratory channel via the throat, even clearing stomach channel. So if you're somebody who tends to run cold, or heavy, wet, dense, thick, like a kapha predominant constitution, and by the way, we're in the middle of the kapha season, so almost any of us who have any like secondary or predominating kapha dosha in our system is going to feel a little bit more kaphic this time of year. So a spicier Nasya oil can be super, super helpful. And there are companies like this company. I absolutely love her. I'll show you one of her newer labels. Her company's called Shakti Veda. Mary Jo Cravatta. This one's called Balance Within. So she has a bunch of different Nasya oils that are formulated for specific issues. And she also has ones that they're more, I would say, psychosomatic in their purpose, or emotional, or even you can use them to, I've heard people talk about it like they use them for their chakras, chakra healing, I guess. But like this one that's called Balance Within, when I look at the ingredients, it's jasmine, rose, helichrysum, and almond oil. Oh, and then one other ingredient that I'm not familiar with, and it's in Latin. But this one, Balance Within, being jasmine, rose, and helichrysum and almond oil, it's so gentle. Like that really is more of, a nurturing for your third eye than trying to clear a bunch of mucus that's built up over the past few weeks because you've been drinking too much milk, or it's freezing cold in your house, or you haven't been exercising, and so a lot of cough has been building up. A blend like this would be more gentle and emotionally based. So she's got some really, really cool blends. And then she's also got this one. She has several, but this one is called Thyroid Relief. It's hard to show it to you because of the light. So, this one has the herbs that are infused into the oil are more specific for helping your thyroid regulate metabolism and temperature, and it's her proprietary blend, and it's got Ayurvedic herbs infused into it. I've had somebody ask me if you can make your own Nasya oil with essential oils, like, typically a 1 ounce bottle like this. If you were going to use it as a massage oil, you would fill it up with whatever your carrier oil was, and then add 5 to 10 drops of essential oils to it, and it would be really activating externally. But because this is going right into your mucous membrane, like you're even putting it into your neti pot, you don't want it to be very strong essential oil wise. So when I make my Nasya oil, it does have ginger essential oil in it, but I think it's 6 drops total in I think the entire recipe when I make a batch is 16 ounces. So that's in a 1 ounce bottle, that's like a third of a drop of essential oil in each bottle. So you don't want to, I know a lot of you in this group or who are interested in Ayurveda use essential oils. And so you want to be super duper cautious if you're making your own Nasya oil blend. Typically, herbs are infused into the oil in a similar way to how you would make a tincture or traditional Ayurvedic body oils where they actually cook herbs into the carrier oil. Now, the final way to use your Nasya oil is in your ears. So I met this beautiful woman the other day, such a beautiful, beautiful soul, who is suffering from really extreme tinnitus in one of her ears. And so this is what I was recommending for her, because tinnitus can really, it's like this constant ringing in your ear. It's in Chinese medicine, it's on the bladder kidney meridian. And in Ayurveda, it's very much nervous system related, and usually we would think of it as a vata disorder because vata rules the nervous system. And when I think of it being on kidney bladder channel, I think, well, if your kidney or bladder is taxed, then that's also a vata issue. So I don't know. I mean, I'm saying too much for a Facebook Live. But anyway, in Ayurveda, we really soak that affected ear in a Nasya oil that's very warming and nurturing. So I could go back to this Balance Within one. But if the cause of the tinnitus is viral or bacterial in nature, then I might even do a combination of, the really powerful, potent antibacterial one that I make with another one that's more gentle and soothing and emotionally based. I mean, you can mix and match all kinds of things in Ayurvedic medicine. I think that's part of what makes it so fun and so cool. But anyway, I hope that this sheds some light on what Nasya oil is and how to use it. So just for review quickly, if you're going to put it in your nostrils directly, which for dry nose or when you are so clogged up that you can't even do a neti pot rinse because the water just gets stuck and it won't go through the other nostril, lay down, tilt your chin towards the sky, plug one nostril, and then you only need about 4 or 5 drops and really sniff it and swallow it, and then do the other side. So you do about 4 to 5 drops in each nostril. And for adding the things, I'm doing a review, so I'm reviewing this. Good question. Yes, it's fine to use plain sesame oil for tinnitus, but if you have a sense of what is causing your tinnitus, you can make it more potent and powerful to add herbs and or essential oils, and that's something that I could direct you with privately outside of this public forum. What was I going to say? Oh, how much to add to a neti pot. So a neti pot holds half a cup of water and half a teaspoon of salt. So I usually add 1 to 2 dropperfuls of the Nasya oil, depending on how much lubrication and additional herbal assistance I want. Hi. So, kind of day to day, I put 1 dropperful. But if I'm really dry or I'm really struggling with whatever's going on respiratory wise or nasal passage wise, I will put 2. So you can also, just to make it last longer, I might only put 1, like if I'm traveling. And then, of course, putting the oil in your ears. Now, if you put it in your ears and also in your nose, I like to warm it up first. So I'll fill a crock pot up with water, turn it on so it's like just got hot water going, and I'll stick my little bottle in the hot water to warm it up. Or I will boil some water, pour it into a small bowl, put my bottle of Nasya oil in the small bowl of hot water and heat it up that way. It's just so much nicer to have warm oil in your ears than cold oil or even room temperature oil. So anyway, I hope this was enlightening. And like I said, I'll put links to whatever resources I mentioned in today's video. So I'll give you a link to my Nasya oil on my Talia's Kitchen shop page. I'll give you a link to Mary Jo's Shakti Veda line of Nasya oils. And if more questions come in, I will answer them inside our Facebook group. So if you are catching this video on YouTube, hello, welcome. Glad that you're here. My name's Talia. I am going live right now in Ayurveda Every Day with Talia, which is a free, amazing group of humans on Facebook, and you are always welcome to join. So thanks so much. Thank you. Thank you.